Welcome back to jaganinfo channel. As per the subscribers' more demand, they asked about the study of law bits. So for them, I have created 500 MCQs. Please check the topics here, and the remaining topics due to space issue I have mentioned in the video description. Let's start. The Rajya Sabha is also called the answer Council of States. If you have any questions, you can put the comments. I will reply as soon as possible. Next question. The President can dissolve the Lok Sabha on the advice of the answer Prime Minister. The concept of procedure established by law is borrowed from the Constitution of answer Japan. The right to information is a answer fundamental right. Which of the following bodies is not a constitutional body of India? Answer Niti Aayog. Next question. The Constitution of India is based on the Constitution of. The answer can be the most relevant is when compared to the four options, answer will be UK. Next question. The term separation of powers implies answer division of functions. Which article provides for the appointment of the Finance Commission? Answer Article 280. Which article provides for the separation of judiciary from executive? Answer Article 50. The members of the municipalities are elected for a term of. Answer 5 years. The term social justice in the preamble means. Answer equitable distribution. Which article of the Constitution deals with the appointment of the Prime Minister? Answer Article 75. Which the right to life and personal liberty? Answer Article 21. Who appoints the Attorney General of India? Answer President. The power of judicial review is vested in. Answer Supreme Court and High Courts. The power to issue a writ of certiorari is vested in. Answer High Court and Supreme Court. Which article empowers the President to promulgate ordinances? Answer Article 123. The term socialist was added to the preamble by which amendment? Answer 42nd Amendment. Which article prohibits taxation of promotion or restriction of any particular religion? Answer Article 27. Which article deals with trade, commerce and intercourse within the territory of India? Article 301. Which article of the Indian Constitution defines the territory of India? Article 1. Which schedule of the Constitution deals with the administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes? Fifth schedule. The judges of the High Court are appointed by the President. The power to issue ordinances rests with President and Governor. The Attorney General is the legal advisor to the Government of India. Which article of the Constitution provides for the appointment of a governor for each state? Article 153. Which article provides for the constitution of the Election Commission? Article 324. Who presides over the joint sitting of both houses of Parliament? Speaker of Lok Sabha. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha is elected by members of Lok Sabha. The directive principles are non-justiciable because they are guidelines for the state. The directive principles of state policy aim to establish social and economic democracy. The Advocate General of the state is appointed by Governor. Which of the following is not a fundamental duty? Answer: to vote in elections. Which article deals with the abolition of untouchability? Article 17. The Constitution of India provides for how many types of emergencies? 3 types of emergencies. Which article of the Constitution ensures the right to conserve one's culture? Article 29. The maximum strength of the Lok Sabha is 552 members. The right to property was removed from the list of fundamental rights by which amendment? 44th Amendment. Which of the following committees recommended the inclusion of fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution? Swaran Singh Committee. The concept of international peace and security is promoted by which article? Article 51. The term reasonable restrictions is related to fundamental rights. The President can proclaim an emergency under which article? Article 352. The right to freedom of religion includes freedom to manage religious affairs under which article? Article 26. Which article provides for the constitution of the legislative assemblies of the states? Article 170. The Election Commission of India consists of how many members? Chief Election Commissioner and 2 Election Commissioners. Which article deals with the powers of the President to grant pardons? Article 72. The term of the Lok Sabha can be extended during a national emergency by whom? Parliament. Which article provides for the qualifications for becoming a judge of the Supreme Court? Article 124 brackets 3. Which case established the doctrine of basic structure? Kesavananda Bharati. The concept of writs has been borrowed from the Constitution of United Kingdom. The power to issue a writ of a prohibition is vested with which of the following? High Court and Supreme Court. The term welfare state is enshrined in Directive Principles of State Policy. Which article provides for the establishment of a High Court for each state? Article 214. The term vote on account is related to budgetary process. Which article provides for the distribution of legislative powers between the Union and the states? Article 246. The federal features of the Indian Constitution include division of powers between Union and states. The Supreme Court's power of judicial review is derived from Constitution. Which Amendment Act is known as the Mini Constitution? 42nd Amendment. The Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949. Which of the following is not a type of writ that can be issued by the Supreme Court of India? Answer: Interlocutory order. Which article provides for the constitution of a Metropolitan Planning Committee? Answer: Article 243 ZE. The concept of rule of law is a feature of UK Constitution. What is the term of the members of the Rajya Sabha? 6 years. Which of the following is a key difference between the Supreme Court and High Courts? All of the above. Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. High Courts have appellate jurisdiction. Supreme Court has advisory jurisdiction. Next question. Which of the following is not a type of writ that can be issued by the Supreme Court or a High Court? Answer: Decree. The minimum age for becoming a Rajya Sabha member is? Answer: 30 years. Which article empowers the High Courts to issue writs? Article 226. Which part of the Indian Constitution deals with the directive principles of state policy? Part 4. The National Commission for Scheduled Tribes is constituted under which article? Article 342. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Which article empowers the Parliament to legislate on any matter in the state list during national emergency? Article 250. The Supreme Court judges retire at the age of 65 years. The term of office of the members of the Public Service Commission is 6 years. Which article provides for the appointment of the Attorney General for India? Article 76. Which of the following is not a function of the Election Commission of India? Please check the options. Conducting Panchayat elections. The Vice President of India is elected by Electoral College. Which article provides for the duties of citizens? Article 51A. The maximum strength of a state legislative assembly is fixed at 500 members. The power to promulgate ordinances when Parliament is not in session is vested in the President. The tenure of High Court judges is until the age of 62 years. The Constitution describes India as a United of States. Which article of the Constitution provides for the setting up of an interstate council to resolve disputes among states? Article 263. The power to declare on ordinance rests with the power to declare an ordinance rests with answer President and Governor. The power to grant anticipatory bail is vested in High Court and Session Court. The concept of judicial review has been adopted from which country's constitution? United States of America. Which of the following is not a feature of the Indian federal system? Dual government. Under which article can the President of India proclaim financial emergency? Article 360. The right to equality is guaranteed under which articles? Articles 14 to 18. The term habeas corpus in legal terminology means Produce the body before court. Which article abolishes untouchability? Article 17. Which schedule of the Indian Constitution deals with the anti-defection law? 10th schedule. The governor of a state is appointed by the President. Which article guarantees equality of opportunity in matters of public employment? Article 16. Which article guarantees protection against arrest and detention in certain cases? Article 22. Which article of the Constitution deals with the right to education? Article 21A. Which article provides for the appointment of the Chief Justice of a High Court? Article 217. Which article ensures the protection of interests of minorities? Answer: Article 29. The term preamble implies introductory statement. The term tribunals is related to dispute resolution. The power to impose president's rule in a state is vested with whom? Answer: President. If you like this video, please subscribe. The subordinate courts are under the control of the High Court. Which article provides for the appointment of special officer for linguistic minorities? Article 350B. Which article provides for the contingency fund of India? Article 267. The concept of social, economic, and political justice is taken from which revolution? Russian Revolution. Which article empowers the Parliament to make laws for the whole or any part of India? Article 245. The jurisdiction of the High Courts can be extended or curtailed by Parliament. Who appoints the Chief Justice of a High Court? President of India. The Chief Justice of a High Court is appointed by the President. The term proportional representation is used in the election of President. The Constitution came into effect on 26 January 1950. Which article provides for the separation of the judiciary from the executive? Article 50. Which article provides for the protection of minorities? Article 29. The concept of due process of law is a feature of the American Constitution? Which article provides for the impeachment of the Vice President? Article 67. Which article provides for national emergency? Article 352. The Attorney General of India holds office during the pleasure of the President. The power to issue a writ of habeas corpus is vested in High Courts and Supreme Court. The term judicial independence is related to impartial judiciary. The term constitutionalism means limited government. Which article vests the Supreme Court with the power of judicial review? Article 32. Which schedule of the Constitution contains the allocation of powers between Union and States? 7th schedule. Which article guarantees the right to freedom of speech and expression? Article 19. Center-state relations are governed by Articles 245 to 263. The concept of separation of powers is a feature of Indian Constitution. Which article empowers the Supreme Court to issue writs? Article 32. The tenure of the Chief Election Commissioner is 6 years or 65 years of age. The Supreme Court can hear appeals from High Courts under which article? Article 136. Which article provides for the establishment of the National Commission for Scheduled Castes? Article 338. The Preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the Objectives Resolution. The term amendment is related to constitutional changes. The term money bill is defined in which article? Article 110. Fundamental duties of citizens are listed under which article? Article 51A. Which article provides for the appointment of High Court judges? Article 217. The power of the President to grant, pardon, reprieve, respite, or remission of punishment is an example of executive power. Which article of the Constitution provides for the protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance? Answer: Article 49. Which article provides for the suspension of fundamental rights during an emergency? Answer: Article 359. The right to property was originally a fundamental right under which article? Article 31. The term adult suffrage is related to election. Which article of the Constitution deals with the election of the Vice President? Article 66. Which article provides for the establishment of the Finance Commission? Article 280. Which article provides for the freedom of conscience and free profession, practice, and propagation of religion? Article 25. The Preamble of the Indian Constitution was adopted on 26th November 1949. The right to equality includes equality before law and equal protection of laws under which article? Article 14. The Attorney General of India is appointed by the President. The first schedule of the Constitution contains list of states and union territories. The term judicial review implies court oversight. The Law Commission of India is constituted under which Act? Government of India Act. Which article provides for the powers of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha? Article 93. Which court held that the preamble is a part of the Constitution? Supreme Court of India. The right to freedom of religion includes all except, check the options. Answer is right to convert forcibly. Which article provides for the power of the President to promulgate ordinances during recess of Parliament? Answer: Article 123. The concept of single citizenship is borrowed from the Constitution of UK. Which article provides for the powers of the Governor? Answer: Article 154. The term writs is related to judicial remedies. The term rule of law implies legal supremacy. The number of high courts in India is approximately 25. Which article of the Constitution provides for the setting up of a GST Council? Article 279A. The power to issue ordinances is vested in President and Governors. The official language of the Union shall be Hindi in Devanagari script. This is mentioned in which article? Article 343. The term Lok Adalat refers to People's Court. Which article empowers the Supreme Court to transfer cases? Article 139A. Which article provides for the remedies for enforcement of rights conferred by Part 3 of the Constitution? Answer: Article 32. The Supreme Court can punish for contempt under which article? Article 129. The term basic structure of the Constitution implies inherent features. The qualifications for election to the office of the President are specified in which article? Article 58. The term of the Vice President is 5 years. Which article provides for the establishment of the National Human Rights Commission? Article 338. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction in all except. Please check the options. Answer: disputes between individuals. Which article provides for the abolition of titles? Article 18. Which article deals with the powers of panchayats? Article 243G. The concept of directive principles of state policy is taken from which country's constitution? Ireland. Which article provides for the protection and improvement of the environment and safeguarding of forests and wildlife? Article 48A. Which article deals with the imposition of President's rule in states? Article 356. Which article provides for financial emergency? Article 360. Under which article does the President consult the Supreme Court on a question of law or fact? Article 143. Which article provides for the Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities? Article 350B. Niti Aayog replaced which earlier institution? Planning Commission. Which article directs the state to secure a uniform civil code for all citizens? Article 44. The High Courts have jurisdiction over original and appellate cases. Which article provides for the qualifications for appointment as judges of High Courts? Article 217. Which article provides for the reservation of seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the Lok Sabha? Article 330. Which article provides for the establishment of the High Court? Article 214. The Vice President of India acts as the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Who appoints the Election Commission of India? President. Which article provides for the promotion of international peace and security? Article 51. The right to cultural and educational rights protects the interests of minorities. Under which article can the Parliament amend the Constitution of India? Article 368. Which article of the Constitution provides for the setting up of a Finance Commission to recommend measures for financial devolution from the Union to the states? Article 280. The term ordinance is related to executive powers. Which schedule deals with the administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes? Fifth schedule. The right to freedom of assembly is guaranteed under which article? Article 19. The term of the President of India is 5 years. Which article provides for the election of the Vice President of India? Article 66. Fundamental duties were added to the Constitution by which amendment? 42nd Amendment. The term of the Lok Sabha is 5 years. Which article provides for the directive principles of state policy? Article 36 to 51. The legislative procedure for ordinary bills requires passage by both houses. Which article provides protection against arrest and detention in certain cases? Article 22nd. Which article of the Constitution guarantees right to education as a fundamental right? Article 21A. The concept of independent judiciary is taken from USA. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you are interested, you can join with less perks. It will be great support to me. The Election Commission of India is a constitutional body. The power to create new All India services is vested with Rajya Sabha. The right to freedom includes how many freedoms? 6. Which is not a salient feature of the Indian Constitution? Unicameral legislature. Which article of the Indian Constitution mentions about the Finance Commission? Article 280. Which article provides for equality of opportunity in public employment? Article 16. The Sarkaria Commission was related to Central-State relations. Which article guarantees protection of life and personal liberty? Article 21. The minimum age for Rajya Sabha membership is 30 years. The Prime Minister is appointed by the President. The 7th schedule of the Constitution deals with distribution of powers between Union and States. Which article provides for the protection of language, script, and culture of minorities? Article 29. The Rajya Sabha is a permanent body and is not subject to dissolution. Its members retire after every 6 years. The fundamental rights can be suspended during national emergency. The concept of equal pay for equal work is mentioned in Directive Principles. The maximum strength of the Rajya Sabha is 250 members. Which article provides for the salaries and allowances of members of Parliament? Article 106. The judges of the Supreme Court retire at the age of 65 years. The right to education was made a fundamental right by the 86th Amendment. The Finance Commission is constituted under which article? Article 280. Which article of the Indian Constitution deals with the organization of village panchayats? Article 40. Which article deals with the proclamation of emergency in India? Article 352. Which article deals with the powers of municipalities? Articles 243p. Which article provides for the establishment of the Supreme Court of India? Article 124. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India is appointed by the President. The minimum age for becoming a Lok Sabha member is 25 years. Which article deals with the appointment of the Chief Justice of India? Article 124. The Constitution is a written constitution. The significance of the Preamble lies in its role as a lay key to the Constitution and reflection of its ideals. The term National Commission is related to social justice. Which article deals with the municipalities? Article 243Q. The residuary powers of legislation under the Indian Constitution rest with Parliament. Which article provides for the establishment of administrative tribunals? Article 323A. Which of the following is not a feature of the Indian Constitution? Presidential rule. The 42nd Amendment is also known as Mini Constitution. Which article provides for the organization of village panchayats? Article 40. Which article of the Constitution provides for all India services? Article 312. The official language of the Union is provided under which article? Article 343. Which article provides for the protection of interests of minorities? Article 29. The Attorney General of India has the right to speak in both houses of Parliament. The power to issue a writ of quo warranto is vested in High Court and Supreme Court. The emergency provisions are contained in which part of the Constitution? Part 18. The power to issue a writ of mandamus is vested in High Court and Supreme Court. The maximum strength of the Rajya Sabha is fixed by which article? Article 80. The right against exploitation prohibits which of the following? Child labor and human trafficking. Which article provides for the reservation of seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in panchayats? Article 243D. The concept of parliament sovereignty is derived from British Constitution. Which article deals with the constitution of municipal corporations? Article 243Q. The Constitution of India was framed by Constituent Assembly. The term of Rajya Sabha members is 6 years. Which article of the Constitution provides for the establishment of a village panchayat? Article 40. The directive principles of state policy are non-justiciable under which article? Article 37. Which article defines the Union Territories? Article 1. The Supreme Court can transfer cases from one High Court to another under which article? Article 139A. Cultural and educational rights are provided under which articles? Answer: Articles 29 and 30. The concept of concurrent list has been borrowed from the Constitution of Australia. Directive principles of state policy are contained in which articles? Article 36 to 51. The term secular was added to the preamble by which amendment? 42nd Amendment. The right to constitutional remedies is guaranteed under which article? Article 32. Which article provides for the appointment of governors of states? Article 155. Which of the following is not a union territory in India? Please check the options. Answer: Tripura. Which article provides for the election of the President of India? Article 54. Which article provides for the establishment of the National Commission for Backward Classes? Article 338B. The concept of parliamentary sovereignty is a feature of UK Constitution. Which article provides for the establishment of an interstate council? Article 263. The power to issue writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights is vested only in whom? Answer: Supreme Court and High Courts. Which article provides for free and compulsory education for children? Article 45. Which article provides for the qualification of the President? Article 58. Which article provides for the dissolution of the Lok Sabha? Article 85. Which article provides for the promotion of cottage industries? Article 43. The Citizenship Act was enacted in the year 1955. The special powers of the Lok Sabha include: money bills originate here. Which article empowers the President to consult the Supreme Court? Article 143. The Council of Ministers at the state level is collectively responsible to the Legislative Assembly. The power to declare an area as a scheduled area rests with whom? President. Who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner of India? President of India. The 74th Amendment Act relates to municipalities. The power to decide whether a bill is a money bill or not is vested in the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Which article provides for the protection of certain rights regarding freedom of speech? Article 19. Which article provides for the qualification for membership of Parliament? Article 84. Which landmark case established the basic structure doctrine? Keshavananda Bharati case. Which article provides for the constitution of municipalities? Article 243Q. Child labor is prohibited under which article? Article 24. The term of office for the chairman of the Union Public Service Commission is 6 years or until they attain the age of 65 years. Which body conducts elections in India? Election Commission. The term emergency is related to crisis management. The term of office of a member of the Union Public Service Commission is? Answer: 6 years or 65 years. Which article deals with the abolition of titles? Answer: Article 18. Which article provides for the constitution of a Goods and Services Tax Council? Answer: Article 279A. How many schedules does the Indian Constitution originally have? 8. Which article of the Constitution deals with the powers of the governor to grant pardons? Article 161. Which article provides for the appointment of the Solicitor General? Not mentioned in the Constitution. Which article provides for the special provision with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir? Article 370. Which article provides for the abolition of titles except military and academic distinctions? Article 18. The National Commission for Women was established in the year 1992. Which article provides for the appointment of the Governor of a state? Article 155. Which article protects the interests of minorities to conserve their culture? Article 29. Which article provides for the establishment of the Election Commission to conduct elections to the offices of President and Vice President? Article 324. Which article provides for the impeachment of the President of India? Article 61. The concept of rule of law is borrowed from UK Constitution. The power to declare an area as scheduled area lies with the answer President. The concept of public interest litigation originated in USA. The term of office of a governor is 5 years. The concept of fundamental rights is taken from which constitution? American Constitution. The concept of single citizenship is adopted from which country? England. Which article of the Indian Constitution deals with the formation of new states and alteration of areas, boundaries, or names of existing states? Article 3. Which article provides for the protection and improvement of environment? Article 48A. The concept of joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament is borrowed from Australia. Which article provides for the Comptroller and Auditor General of India? Article 148. The Rajya Sabha has the power to approve or reject a money bill passed by the Lok Sabha within. Answer 14 days. The power to alter, increase or diminish the boundaries of existing states rests with. Answer Parliament. Which state has the oldest High Court in India? Kolkata. The power of the Supreme Court to declare a law as ultra vires is an example of. Answer Judicial Review. The term sovereign in the preamble means independent authority. Which article of the Constitution refers to the Uniform Civil Code? Article 44. Who administers the oath of office to the President of India? Chief Justice of India. Which of the following is not a source of the Indian Constitution? Answer French Revolution. Who is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha? Vice President. The Council of Ministers is headed by the Prime Minister. Which of the following is not a feature of the Indian Constitution? A written and detailed Constitution. Which article deals with the impeachment of the Chief Justice of India? Article 124(4). Which article provides for the establishment of the Public Service Commissions? Article 315. The directive principles of state policy are inspired by the Constitution of which country? Ireland. Which article of the Constitution provides for the establishment of a commission to investigate The conditions of backward classes. Article 340. The Finance Commission is a constitutional body. The concept of judicial review in the Indian Constitution has been taken from USA. The Chief Minister is appointed by the Governor. The GST Council is chaired by Union Finance Minister. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha can be removed by a resolution passed by a majority of members of Lok Sabha. The power to declare a national emergency is exercised by the President on the written advice of Cabinet. Which article prohibits traffic in human beings and forced labor? Article 23. The members of the Legislative Council are primarily elected nominated from among all of the above local bodies, graduates and teachers. The President of India is elected by Electoral College. Which of the following is not a fundamental right in India? Right to property. Which article provides for the citizenship of India at the commencement of the Constitution? Article 5. The Chief Minister of a state is responsible to the Legislative Assembly. The term democratic in the preamble means popular sovereignty. Which article provides for President's rule in states? Article 356. The term republic in the preamble indicates elected head of state. The Parliament of India is bicameral consisting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The unitary features of the Indian Constitution include strong center. Which article empowers the Supreme Court to enforce fundamental rights? Article 32. Which article provides for the reservation of seats for women in panchayats? Article 243T. The term procedure established by law is borrowed from the Constitution of Japan. Which article provides for the appointment of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India? Article 148. Which article provides for the establishment of the district courts? Article 233. The Lok Sabha is also called House of the People. The Law Commission of India is constituted every how many years? 3 years. The Panchayati Raj system was constitutionalized by which amendment? 73rd Amendment. The power to impose restrictions on freedom of speech and expression can be exercised in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, friendly relations with foreign states, and public order. So the answer will be all of the above. What is the term of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India? 6 years. Which article of the Constitution defines the Union Executive? Article 52. The National Commission for Scheduled Castes is established under which article? Article 338. The Election Commission of India is responsible for conducting elections too. Answer: Parliament and state legislatures. Which article deal with the admission of establishment of new states and alteration of areas? Answer: Article 124. The President can be removed from office by impeachment on the grounds of violation of Constitution. Which schedule of the Indian Constitution deals with the languages? 8th schedule. Which article deals with the right to privacy? Article 21. Which article provides for the appointment of a governor for each state? Article 153. Who is the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission? A retired Chief Justice of India. Which article of the Constitution directs the state to raise the level of nutrition? Article 47. The power to form new states and alter boundaries lies with? Answer: Parliament. Which article provides for the appointment of district judges? Article 233. The right to constitutional remedies was described as the heart and soul of the Constitution by? Answer: Justice P.N. Bhagwati. The Supreme Court of India was established in which year? Answer: 1950. The first Law Commission of India was established in 1955. The Union Public Service Commission is constituted under which article? Article 315. Who is the custodian of the Indian Constitution? Supreme Court of India. The governor's rule can be imposed under which article? Article 356. The President of India is elected by an electoral college consisting of members of Parliament and state legislatures. Who is the Chief Legal Advisor to the state government in India? Advocate General. The Preamble of the Indian Constitution declares India to be a sovereign democratic republic. The term equality before law is borrowed from the Constitution of UK. Which of the following is not a function of the Election Commission? To check the options, answer will be conducting panchayat elections. Which article of the Constitution empowers the President to consult the Supreme Court on any question of law or fact? Answer, Article 143. Which of the following is not a type of writ that can be issued by the High Court or the Supreme Court of India? Answer, subpoena. Which article empowers the Parliament to form new states and alter areas? Article 3. The Chief Election Commissioner can be removed from office only in the manner and on the like grounds as a Judge of the Supreme Court. The concept of sovereignty of Parliament is a feature of which constitution? Answer, British Constitution. The allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha is based on population. Which article of the Constitution deals with the abolition of titles? Article 18. Which article provides for the election of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha? Article 93. Which article defines the term state for the purpose of fundamental rights? Answer, Article 12. Which is not a function of the High Courts? Please check the options. Answer is legislative jurisdiction. Which article lists the fundamental duties? Article 51A. The procedure for creation of new states is laid down in which article? Article 3. The directive principles are meant for the state. Which article empowers the Parliament to amend the Constitution? Article 368. Which article provides for the appointment of the chairman and the members of the Public Service Commissions? Article 316. The concurrent list is mentioned in which schedule of the Constitution? 7th schedule. The election to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies is conducted on the basis of adult suffrage. Which article provides for the impeachment of the president? Article 61. Which article deals with the formation of new states? Article 3. Which article provides for the creation of new states? Article 3. The power to declare a law as unconstitutional rests with whom? Supreme Court. Which article of the Constitution deals with the organization of panchayats? Answer: Article 243B. Which article of the Constitution deals with the abolition of untouchability? Article 17. Who is the highest law officer of India? Answer: Attorney General. The Supreme Court can declare a constitutional amendment invalid if it violates. Basic structure. Which article provides for the abolition or creation of legislative councils in states? Article 169. The term federalism is related to division of powers. Which article provides for the establishment of the Election Commission of India? Article 324. The idea of republic in the Indian Constitution has been taken from French Constitution. Which of the following is not a function of the Election Commission of India? Deciding election disputes. The fundamental rights are enshrined in which articles of the Constitution? Article 12 to 35. The term republic in the preamble signifies elected head. Which of the following is not a function of the Union Public Service Commission? Conducting state services exam. Which of the following is not a type of emergency under the Indian Constitution? Answer: judicial emergency. The Constituent Assembly's chairman was Dr. Sachidananda Sinha. Which article of the Constitution empowers the President to declare a financial emergency? Article 360. Which article deals with the proclamation of financial emergency? Article 360. Citizenship in India is governed by which articles? Articles 5 to 11. The power to amend the Constitution is subject to basic structure. Which article provides for reservation of seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the Lok Sabha? Article 330. Which article provides for the Consolidated Fund of India? Article 266. The Governor of a state is appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister. Which article provides for the procedure for amendment of the Constitution? Article 368. Which of the following is not a power of the Election Commission of India? To conduct elections to local bodies. The right to freedom of religion is guaranteed under which article? Answer: Article 25 to 28. The term public interest legislation is related to? See, the questions may be repeated, but options will be changed. So, you can, this is only for the understanding of the subject. Okay. Answer: judicial activism. The power to create or abolish legislative councils in states is vested with? Answer: Parliament. Which article provides for the appointment of a special officer for linguistic minorities? Answer: Article 350B. Which article of the Constitution deals with the right to freedom of movement? Answer: Article 19. The Gram Sabha is a body consisting of all adult members of a village. Who is the head of the Niti Aayog? Prime Minister. The Finance Commission is constituted every how many years? 5 years. The Union Public Service Commission is responsible for recruitment to all India services. Which article guarantees protection in respect of conviction for offences? Answer: Article 20. The term proclamation of emergency is mentioned in which article of the Constitution? Answer: Article 352. The power to declare a national emergency lies with the President. The term budget is mentioned in which article? Article 112. The term of office of the Chief Election Commission of India is 6 years. State governments in India are headed by Chief Minister. The High Courts of India are established under which article? Answer: Article 214. Which of the following bodies is not a constitutional body under the Indian Constitution? National Development Council. The Panchayati Raj system is a form of local self-government. The power to promulgate ordinances is vested in the President and Governors. The term of the Supreme Court judges is until age 65. The idea of emergency provisions has been borrowed from which constitution? Weimar Constitution of Germany. The term of office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India is 6 years. Which of the following is not a function of the Election Commission? Conducting panchayat elections. The power to issue a writ of prohibition is vested in High Court and Supreme Court. The power to amend the Constitution lies with whom in India? Parliament. Which article provides for the procedure in Parliament with respect to estimates? Article 113. The concept of joint responsibility is a feature of parliamentary system. Which of the following is not a feature of the Indian Constitution? Judicial supremacy. Which of the following is not a function of the Finance Commission? Conducting elections. Which of the following is not an essential ingredient of the Preamble of the Indian Constitution? Federalism. The fundamental rights are enforceable by courts of law. The right to freedom of speech and expression does not include right to defame. The right to property is now a legal right under which article? Article 300A. The term of the Chief Justice of India is until the age of 65 years. Which of the following schedules deals with the allocation of seats in the Rajya Sabha to the states and union territories? Fourth schedule. Which of the following is not a fundamental right guaranteed by the Indian Constitution? Right to property. The concept of fundamental duties is borrowed from the Constitution of USSR. The State Election Commission conducts elections for panchayats and municipalities. Which article of the Constitution deals with the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court? Article 131. In criminal law, what is means rea? In criminal law, what is mens rea? Answer: the guilty mind. Which constitutional principle ensures that no one is above the law? Answer: rule of law. What is eminent domain in property law? Answer: the government's power to take private property for public use. In contract law, What is consideration? Something of value exchanged by parties. Which principle of public international law states that treaties should be followed in good faith? Pacta sunt servanda. What is negligence in tort law? Failure to exercise reasonable care. Double jeopardy, a concept in criminal law, is prohibited by which amendment to the US Constitution? Fifth Amendment. Which constitutional right protects individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures? Fourth Amendment. What is a quitclaim deed in property law? A transfer of ownership with no guarantees. What is specific performance as a remedy in contract law? A court order to fulfill the contract terms. What is a primary legal consequence for a corporation following a data breach involving personal information? Regulatory fines. Which law primarily governs electronic signatures and records in US e-commerce transactions? The Electronic Signatures in Global and National Commerce Act. In a no-fault divorce system, what is not typically required to dissolve a marriage? Proof of adultery. What legal principle often determines parental rights in same-sex adoption cases? The best interests of the child. What is the primary role of family courts in resolving disputes? Handling domestic relations issues. What legal standard is often applied to determine liability in cybersecurity cases involving corporate negligence? Reasonable security. Which of the following poses a significant corporate law challenge in online marketplaces? All of the above. Determining jurisdiction, enforcing consumer protection laws, managing intellectual property rights. What is the key advantage of a no-fault divorce system compared to a fault-based system? All of the above. Reduced legal costs, increased privacy, faster proceedings. In cases of same-sex adoption, what legal document establishes the parental rights of both parents? Adoption decree. What types of disputes do family courts typically handle regarding children? All of the above. Custody, visitation, and support. What is the legal status of birthright citizenship in the United States as defined by the 14th Amendment? It applies to all persons born in the US. Which legal doctrine allows the government to deport non-citizens who commit certain crimes? Crimmigration. What is the primary argument against providing undocumented children with free public education from a legal and financial perspective? It poses a significant financial burden on states. Which Supreme Court cases significantly addressed the issue of campaign finance limits and corporate spending in elections? Citizens United versus APPSC. What is the main constitutional basis for federal authority over immigration? Inherent sovereignty doctrine. Which Supreme Court case established the individual right to bear arms for self-defense? District of Columbia versus Heller. What was the primary outcome of National Federation of Independent Business versus Sebelius in 2012 regarding the Affordable Care Act ACA? Answer: both A and C. It upheld the individual mandate under the taxing power. It struck down the entire ACA. It limited the expansion of Medicaid. So answer will be option A and option C. Which of the following is a potential argument against the claim that immigration increases crime rates? All of the above. Pause the video and check the options. Next question. How do some states attempt to offset the financial cost associated with providing services to undocumented immigrants? Answer: by seeking federal reimbursement. In what way do immigrant-owned businesses often contribute to local economies? All of the above. By increasing competition, by filling niche markets, by revitalizing undeserved areas. What is a key challenge in assessing the effectiveness of hate crime legislation? All of the above. Option A, option B, and option C is the correct. What is a primary ethical dilemma associated with the death penalty? Answer: all of the above. Pause the video and check the options. Next question. Which constitutional amendment is most relevant to the process of plea bargaining? Answer: Sixth Amendment. What is a common argument in favor of hate crime legislation? Answer: All of the above. It provides additional protection to vulnerable groups. It deters bias motivated violence. It sends a message of condemnation. What is a potential consequence of plea bargaining for defendants? Answer: all of the above. Waiving the right to appeal, accepting a harsher sentence than might be obtained at trial, avoidance of a more serious charge. Next question. What is a significant consequence of mandatory minimum sentencing laws in drug-related offences? Answer: all of the above. Overcrowding in prisons, reduced judicial discretion, disparate impact on minority communities. In juvenile justice, what is the primary goal of restorative justice programs? Answer: rehabilitation. Which legal challenge is unique to prosecuting cybercrime offences? Answer: all of the above. Establishing jurisdiction, preserving digital evidence, attributing the crime to a specific individual. What is a key criticism of hate crime legislation based on the First Amendment? Answer: it punishes thoughts rather than actions. What is a common obstacle in prosecuting white-collar crime, particularly corporate fraud? Answer: all of the above. Complexity of financial transactions, difficulty proving intent, resource constraints for investigators. How is predictive policing technology used in crime prevention? Answer: all of the above. By forecasting crime hotspots, by identifying potential offenders, by monitoring social media. Which method is considered essential for preventing police brutality? Answer: all of the above. Body-worn cameras, community policing initiatives, de-escalation training. And 500 question. What is a primary concern regarding the reliability of eyewitness testimony? Answer: all of the above. Memory distortion, suggestibility, cross-racial identification errors. What is a key issue in addressing racial discrimination within the legal system? Answer: all of the above. Implicit bias, racial profiling, disparate sentencing. Which of the following is a significant legal challenge associated with open source software licensing? Answer: all of the above. Ensuring compliance, protecting proprietary code, determining liability. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubts, please put a comment. I will try to reply as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe. If you like this video, please join the button, which is very less perks. It will be support to the channel. All the best. Have a bright future.